Garth Graham, he's now living in Victoria, but he came up on his own dime, and he came and ran my campaign. It was delightful spending time with him, but he's as smart as all get out, and he spent a lot of time working with me on what that campaign literature would look like. We also had my wife's sister doing all the graphic design work, and she did a great job on that. So we were just very fortunate in having a very strong crew of people that's just helped me win.
You're not the only one I'm asking these questions of, just so you know. I know that signs are expensive. Renting
Yes.
space on the buses and the benches and
Yeah.
even just printing is expensive. How much did you spend in your campaign on getting elected?
Okay, the final tally's not in, but I'm guessing I'm in around $15,000 altogether. Yeah, but again, a whole lot of it was given to me, where I didn't have to spend money for Garth coming up. That would have been easily $20,000 to have a formal professional campaign manager to do the heavy lifting that he did. So I just got lucky to have that degree of family and community support.
So you spent 15 plus these in-kind donations.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So where did the 15,000 come from?
Well, mostly out of my pocket, but I had private donations from people around town. I shouldn't say this, but my sister being fairly generous on her own, but I won't say that because she won't like to hear that. So.
Okay. And I'm asking other candidates as well, like how much was the breakdown between what came out of your pocket versus what people donated?
I'd say it was about 50-50. Yeah, around that. But I haven't done the calculations yet. I don't have all the invoices in yet. But just the signs, you mentioned how pricey those things are and the rack cards to get those printed. That alone was over $10,000. Just that print stuff was over 10. And like I say, I got so many friends helping me out with things like creating and putting up the signs, and that came for free. So how lucky is that?
One candidate told me that he was approached and asked if somebody could make a donation kind of in exchange for favorable consideration should they be elected.
Yeah.
Anybody try that with you?
No. No, and I was very frank. I did have a couple of corporate donations, but I said to them, first of all, there's no disclosure rules, so you're private. You want to contribute to my campaign, fine. And I said, I will set the limit on how much you contribute to the maximum that any single person contributed to my campaign, and I stuck to that rule, and frankly, it was all very successful in gaining me support.
So you did just 2 corporate donations?
Oh no, a number, but I don't have the figures on hand. But there were a few, but I wasn't looking. I wasn't letting them go to like $5, $10, $15,000. They were not. I was not prepared to accept those numbers. I capped it as whatever the highest private sector contribution was. I thought that's fair, but then it also puts me in a position where I can say to all of those contributors, that you contributed to a campaign that got me elected. Let's talk if there are things you want to talk about that are important to the city. But the thing is, it's so much different than territorial or federal, because at the end of the day, the mayor's one vote on council. So even if I wanted to say to a company, man, I'm there for you and I'm going to make sure you get your, I don't know, your parking lot, I can't say that because I'm one vote on council. And that's just the way this municipal system works. And I love it for that reason, because nobody can be taken to find themselves in anybody's pocket.
Unless they happen to buy numerous councillors, in which case.
Well, okay, maybe, but I'm not seeing it.
Not, but,
Yeah.
I just
Nobody
wanted
talked to me about that, let's put it that way.
Yeah, no problem. And you talked about no disclosure rules, but some Canadian municipalities do, on most of the big cities, but some jurisdictions, even smaller than Whitehorse, do. Do you think that there should be transparency and disclosure in terms of who's donating to campaigns, like at provincial, territorial, and federal levels?
My own view is, and I've studied governance for a lot of years, municipal is very, very different than territorial, federal, provincial. And to my way of thinking, it's got to place those kind of rules for those levels of government. Not so sure at municipal. And I go back to my main point, which is 7 people voting independently. We all have to read the 130 pages every week to come to the council table, bring the perspective of the city and what we've heard out there on the street to the council table, and we vote independently. And that's our system. It's been around since medieval times, by the way, and it's just kind of a time-honored way in which we run municipalities. So I'm not seeing the need to be that regulated when it comes to things like transparency. I'm not sure that that's relevant.